now we'll take return for risky securities. How return for risky securities are calculated? How return for risky securities are calculated? So come to your next paragraph where we'll discuss how to compute the return for risky securities. As we know, in case of risky securities, it is based on expectation. So we will multiply the various possible outcomes with their probabilities. In case of risky securities, we will multiply what can be various possible outcomes with their probabilities, because in risky security the returns will vary. It can be this, this or this, so we'll apply the probability concept. And so the second formula that we are going to understand today is called expected return of risky security by applying a formula which is the sum of the, printed in your book also somewhere, which is the sum of the return into probability will give you return of risky security. For risky security, the actual return can be viewed as a random variable subject to a probability distribution, which means there will be different possible return and their probability. This symbol is the symbol of sum of all the observations multiplied by their probabilities. So that is called sum of return into probability. We'll solve one very simple example today. We'll start with very basic and then slowly we'll move to very advanced questions. For example, an investor has identified 5 possible outcomes for his return during the next year. You will see this table below, and one more line. With each return, associated probability or relative chance of occurrence is also given. What are these 5 possible outcomes and their probabilities? So in case of risky securities, throughout this chapter you will be given questions in this format. What are the various possible returns? So if I buy the shares of a company, I may get 20% return whose probability is 0.15. I may get 20% return whose probability is 0.20, or I may get 22% return whose probability is 0.50. I may get 23% return whose probability is 0.10, or I may get 24% return whose probability is 0.05. Probability means possibility of happening or non-happening of an event. The chance that an event may occur or may not occur is called probability. Sum total of all probabilities is 1, so that we have to check. When we solve also, the total of the probability should be equal to 1. How these probabilities they have computed? So they might have made observations in the past, and they may have found that in 15 out of 100 cases the return is 20%, 20 out of 100 cases the return is 21%, and this way they have assigned the probabilities. Or it can be a subjective probabilities based on your judgment, your expectation. How do you find out the expected return? Just multiply return into probability, and take the total. So in the next page you will find one table given below, table given above at the top, where this last column you have to complete. So take your calculator. I want all of you to bring a very good calculator which should have memory function, memory recall, then check function, correct function, GT function. And it should be such calculator where once I press that memory recall or once I do all clear, anything which is already there in the memory should be erased. It should not happen that even if I press all clear, the balance in memory continues and therefore your answer can go wrong. So once we press all clear or that on button, nothing should be there in the calculator's memory. Then we can do faster. Okay. So how do we solve this now? On your calculator fast, type 20 into 0.15 equal to memory plus. So you don't have to take the trouble of adding them again. And keep writing the answer 3. 21 into 0.2 equal to memory plus 4.20. 22 into 0.5 equal to memory plus 11. 23 into 0.5 equal to memory plus 2.3. 24 into 0.05 equal to memory plus 1.20. Memory recall, you'll automatically get 21.70%. So what is this 21.70%? This is the expected or average return. This is simply average return. That means on an average, this rate of return can be expected from this share. So please understand this word called expected. Expected or average return means this is what we can expect to earn. It is not a guaranteed return. It is not a guaranteed return. You may earn more than or less than expected return. So actual return after 1 year can be more than or can be less than the expected return. It is not a guaranteed return. This is what we may expect. Then why do we compute it? At least for decision making, I need some basis. Forget this question now. Suppose I have to select a batsman for our cricket team. So there are two batsmen, VK, KL. Okay, Virat Kohli, KL Rahul. And his average score per inning is 52. He is 48. Other things remaining equal, VK will be selected. Now that does not mean that tomorrow when the next match will happen, VK will make 52 and Rahul will make 48. In fact, it can be VK may have 0 score tomorrow, Rahul may have a century also. So expected return is not actual return. Actual return can deviate from expected return, but at least based on some average data, we will be able to take some decision. Otherwise, how will you take a decision? Some base has to be there. Other things remaining same, the option with higher expected return will be selected. Average can be misleading also because it may or may not be realized. Next question is, what is risk? We have been hearing this word risk quite long time, since quite a long, but then today, what is risk we'll understand in detail how it is calculated in the field of finance. In the field of finance, risk means the probability of losing money. In different field, risk can have different interpretation. If you are a cricketer, the risk is that the ball may injure you and anything can happen to you. But in case of finance, the risk means you will lose your money, you will lose your investment, you will get less than your expected return. So risk refers to volatility of return. Risk means that the return can be volatile, it can be less than what it was expected. It can be more also, but then when we talk about risk, we are talking more about the downside possibility. Risk means situation where actual outcome may deviate from the expected outcome. Risk means situation where actual outcome may deviate from the expected outcome. So Suresh was coming out of the examination hall. Which exam? CA exam. Suresh was coming out of the examination hall. I asked him, how was the paper? He says, sir, it was very good. Whatever you taught, I found that similar questions were there in the exam, so I will get 65%. This is expected. Then after 2 months, results were declared. Actual was very different from expected. I will not write what was that actual, but you can understand. Suresh had to write the exam again. So what is this situation indicating? Actual can be significantly different from expected. Ramesh was also coming out of the examination hall. Which exam? BCom exam. And I asked Ramesh, how was your paper? Sir, I will get 80%. This is expected. After 2 months, results were out. He got around 80%. Maybe 1 or 2% plus minus, but it's okay. Here the risk is less because the expectation and actual are meeting. In C exam, expectation and actual are not meeting. So therefore we call that BCom exam is less risky. C exams are more risky. In BCom exam, you will purchase the book a day before the exam and you get 80% also. And this C exam, you study for 2 years, 3 years. You take so many tuitions, coaching, and then also there is a risk involved. Same thing happens with equity shares and bonds. In bonds, we expect 6% return, we get 6% interest. So that is less risky. But in case of equity share, you buy the shares of Reliance hoping that you will earn 15% return because in the past 3 years, the average return was 15%. In spite of that, in the 4th year, the return can be less. So that is the risk. Risk needs to be measured. Only then you can decide whether to take the risk or not. Only then you can analyze the risk. In order to analyze the risk, we should be able to measure the risk. In order to understand the risk, we should be able to measure the risk. So risk can be measured by assigning probabilities. First thing, risk can be measured by assigning possibilities. What are the various possible outcomes and their probabilities? And second, risk can be measured by standard deviation or variance. So here comes our statistical tool for measuring the risk, that is called standard deviation, and it is also called variance. What is the difference between the two? Standard deviation is the square root of variance, or you can say variance is square of standard deviation. So that is the relationship between variance and standard deviation. So we would be using standard deviation more in our syllabus. The reason is standard deviation is measured in the same unit in which the data is measured. So if data is measured in rupees, standard deviation is also in rupees. Standard data is in percentage, standard deviation is also in percentage. So it becomes easy to understand, analyze and interpret. Because many people will not be able to interpret variance. So therefore, it is better to use standard deviation, easy to understand, analyze, interpret. Golden rule number 2 for today. What is golden rule number 2? Other things remaining the same, underline, highlight. Other things remaining the same, the security which carries the lower risk will be preferred. The securities which carries the lower risk will be preferred. Other things remaining same, means their expected return are same, but their risk is different. So again I will take the same example. Suppose there are two securities A and B. In order to decide which security to be purchased, we will compute their expected risk and expected return. So expected return I found is 12%, same. But then when I computed the risk measured in terms of standard deviation, this is 8%, this is 10%. Now what will happen? Any rational investor will select A. Any rational investor will select A. That is, he will think that if the return is same but the risk is low, I will go with option A. I will not take unnecessary risk. I will take additional risk only for additional return. But if there is no additional return, there is no point in taking the additional risk. So all rational investor will go for security A. Security A would be selected by any rational investor. In our current chapter, we will assume investors are rational. Between two options having equal return, he will select the option with lower risk. This is second important rule for this chapter. So now we'll come to measurement of risk. Paragraph number next. In order to analyze the risk, one must be able to measure the risk. What is the measurement of risk? Risk means the deviation of the actual from expected. Risk means how much the data can deviate from the expected or the average. So higher the deviation from the expectation, higher the risk. Higher the deviation from expectation, higher would be the risk. So if you invest in, say, a small cap company, don't write, understand and only enjoy this topic. Small cap company means companies with small market capitalization, whose total market capitalization may be some 100 crore, 200 crore, and they are very risky. In the sense that we may be expecting an average return of 18%, but the actual may be 2%, 29%, too much of deviation. But if I buy shares of large cap companies, say Infosys, Reliance, TCS, Maruti Suzuki, Bajaj Auto, then in that case, suppose I am expecting 18% return, there will be deviation here also, but it may be, let's say, 14%, it can go down, it can be 20%, 25%, deviation would be less. More the deviation, higher the risk. Lower the deviation from the mean, lower the risk. So there must be some statistical tool which will help us to measure this deviation. So what is this deviation? This deviation is measured by standard deviation or variance. Standard deviation or variance helps us to measure what is the average deviation of the data from their mean. So the most common, convenient and reliable measure is the degree of the spread of possible return away from the expected return. Risk can be measured by assigning probabilities, and more specifically, risk is measured by statistical concept of standard deviation or variance. The pronunciation of variance can be variance also. So whatever you like, you can speak. When I was a student, my teachers used to say variance, so I got used to calling it variance. What is the formula? There are two formula I will give you with some logic involved. First formula is based on when number of observations are given. What is the meaning of when number of observations are given? It means the question gives you past data, historical data, that is the returns which have already been realized in the past years. For example, I will write here year, past 3 years I am taking for simple calculation. Year, return in percentage. Let us say in the first year the return was 12, then 14, then say 16. So if you are given last 3 year data, first you take the total 42%, then take the average, take simple average, 42 divided by 3, so 14% is the average return. But actual return are different from 14, it's not 14 every time. So now I will calculate deviation. Deviation means that deviation from the mean. So this is return, this is average return. So I will call it R minus R bar. This is the sign of average return, R bar. 12 minus 14. 12 minus 14, how much it is deviating? Minus 2. This is 0. 16 minus 14 plus 2. If I take the total of the deviation only, the total will be 0. If I say deviation is 0, it is not a correct representation of the situation, because there is deviation, it is less than average, it is more than average, but your total is saying no, it is 0. So therefore only measuring the deviation is not enough and taking total, otherwise it will give you 0 answer every time. It will give you an answer of 0 every time. So it will give a impression that there is no deviation. So it's a wrong interpretation. So what the formula makers have done, they said don't do this. If you do this, the deviation total will be 0 and you may be misled, misguided that there is no deviation. So in order to ensure that the positive deviations do not cancel the negative deviations, or negative deviations do not cancel out the positive deviation, what should we do? What should we do so that we don't get negative positive, all are positive only? I will take the square of the deviation. I will take the square of the deviation. So square of positive number is also positive, square of negative number is also positive. So I will take 12 minus 14 minus 2, take the square, 4. 14 minus 14, 0 square is 0. 16 minus 14, 2 square is 4. And then we will take the total. The total is 8. Now how to apply the formula? First I will calculate the variance. Variance will be sum of x minus x bar square, that is 8 in our example, summation divided by number of observations. So that comes to 8 by 3. 8 by 3. So tell me 8 by 3 is how much? 8 divided by 3 is 2.67. And how do we write variance? Variance will be written as percentage square. The unit of variance will be percentage square. If return is in percentage, variance is in squared unit. That means this is power, so squared unit. The problem is that it is difficult to interpret 2.67 percentage square. This is a simple example, but suppose it's a 10 year and the answer comes to a big number, 17,000, 14,000, 1200. Difficult to interpret variance. So what you will do, you will take the square root of it. So standard deviation will become under root summation x minus x bar square upon n. Under root, this we have already calculated 2.67. So what happens when I take the square root? This square sign goes away. The square sign will go away and we will get the answer in the same unit in which the data is expressed. So now you will take 2.67 and press square root. So that comes to 1.63. So now I can write 1.63%. So this is the answer. So those who want to write, a good student will write year written r minus r bar square, then variance will be for this question 2.67% square and standard deviation will be 1.63% square. 1.63 is simple to understand. It means on an average, the data deviates. On an average, the data deviates 1.63% from the mean. On an average, the data deviates 1.63% from the mean. It can be less also, it can be more also. If it is more, it is actually benefit for us. But because we are trying to analyze risk, we are always looking at the possibility that the return may go down. I hope you have written. Now I am going to erase it. So what does standard deviation tells you? The standard deviation means how much the data deviates on an average from the mean. How much the data deviates on an average from the mean. Now in this example it was 1.64%, 63%. Other security may be 3.5%. So which is riskier? Relatively the second one would be riskier, where the deviation is more from the mean. Where the deviation is more from the mean, that would be riskier. Second thing you write down about standard deviation. Standard deviation is always expressed as a positive number. Standard deviation is always expressed as a positive number, because probably in your schools you were taught, if you are taking the square root of say 4, so you can write plus minus 2. But here I am not going to write minus. Standard deviation is always written as positive number. So that thing you will remember for this entire chapter. Standard deviation, what does it measure? How much the data deviates on an average from the mean? How much can be the deviation on an average? So I have told you certain logic about this formula. Why do we take the square? Because we don't want positive and negative deviation to cancel out each other. Then we divide by n so that we get the average deviation. But then if I don't take the square root, the answer is variance. The unit of variance is in squared unit. It makes interpretation difficult. So to remove that effect of square, I will now take the square root. Data and the standard deviation are in the same unit. It is easy to understand, interpret and analyze. So standard deviation is used for analysis of risk. Now the time has come to start solving question. So first we will solve one question number 3, which is based on our formula of expected return and risk, where the past data is given. Okay. So I will read the question from your book. Keep the book in front of you. Question number 3. A Limited has the, after 2 pages only you will find the question. A Limited has the following dividend per share and market price per share for the period 2002 to 2007. So last 5-year data is given. calculate the standard deviation of the return. This is the question, calculate the standard deviation of the return, and how the data is given, understand, very important. This is a very basic and fundamental question, and we will use the same problem for more advanced questions in the days to come. Year, dividend per share in rupees, market price per share in rupees. Last 6 years data is given to you, 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the dividend, these are the share prices. And what is the question? The question is finding the standard deviation. So this is called past data, because last 6 years data is available. So first you have to understand which formula will be applied for standard deviation in this problem. We will apply the formula under root summation x minus x bar square upon n. X means return and x bar means average return. Now in this question, return is not given to you. So first you have to find the return in percentage, because unless you have return in percentage, where will you compute the standard deviation? How to calculate the return? For that they have given you this dividend and prices. So when we started this chapter today, we had learnt one formula of return. First we will calculate for individual year what was the return. So for individual year the return will be D1 plus P1 minus P0 upon P0. Let us say you bought the share at this point. At the beginning of 2003 you bought the share, let us assume. So you will get 1.53 dividend. The price at the end is 20.75 and the price at the beginning, this is end of the year price, was 31.25. So you entered the market at 31.25 and at the end the market is 20.75, and this again will divide by 31.25. So dividend end price I will take from the same line and beginning price I will take from the previous line. Divide by beginning price, that will give me return of individual years. And once I get the return of individual years, then I take average, then I will calculate variance, then I will calculate standard deviation. So what I will do, since this is the first question, I will write in detail. Solution is also there in your book, but only format. You have to complete it. Heading you should write every time when you write an answer in the exam. Every table should have a heading. Every column should have a heading. Every row has to have some heading, okay, if required. So see the format. In the exam you don't need to draw such a big format, but this is the first question. So start with basics. Slowly and slowly we will improve it. Year, expected price at the end, price at the beginning. The difference between the two is called capital gain plus dividend. Capital gain plus dividend will give you return. This return you will get in rupees. I don't want answer in rupees. Return in rupees does not give me a proper understanding of the rate of return. If I say I have earned 2000 rupees on Reliance share, is it too high or too low? 2000 return rupees I earned. But then if I say I had invested 50,000 rupees in Reliance share and then I got 2000, you will say, oh, just 4%. So sad, you could have invested in the bank FD. So therefore we need to convert the return in rupees into percentage. In this entire chapter, I will require return in percentage, not in rupees. So how do you get return in percentage? Total return divided by beginning price. Total return divided by beginning price. So dear student, Understand the columns 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 will be 2 minus 3, 5, 6 will be 4 plus 5 and 7 will be 6 by 3. Now we will start solving. Please guess whether you will start with 2002 or 2003. What is your starting year? So you will say 2003. But why? Because to calculate the return of 2002, you need the beginning price of 2002 or end price of 2001. But this question has not given the price at the beginning of 2002. Therefore, you cannot calculate the return percentage in year 2002. Hence, we will start with year 2003. So, 2003, 4, keep writing 5, 6, 7. Expected price at the end, go to that respective year, last column. 20.75, 30.88, 67, 100, 154. Price at the beginning. Take the previous year closing price. So in 2003, the previous year closing is 31.25, 20.75, 30.88, 67, 100. The difference between P1 minus P0 is your capital gain, which can be capital loss also, like the first one is negative. So write down 10.5. Then this is positive. Calculate 30.88 minus 20.75, 10.13, 36.12, 33, 54. And dividend in the respective year 2003, can you see it? Second column, middle column, 2003 1.53, 2004 1.53, then 2 and then 2 and then 3. So these are your returns of buying this share in the last 5 years. So we'll calculate their total now. That gives me total return in rupees. 8.97 negative, 11.66 positive. Very easy. Without calculator, try the next three. 38.12, 35, 57. These in rupees, we will divide by the beginning price. If somebody would have purchased the share at the beginning of 2003, how much rate of return he would have earned for that year? 28.7%. Then again try 11.66 divided by 20.75, 56.19%. Next one is even higher, 38.12 divided by 30.88 into 100, 123.45. 35 by 67, 52.24%. 57 by 100, 57%. So this total, take the total. Next time use memory plus function for the last column. Check the total. I am getting 260.18%. I am getting 260.18% total. You will check. If you are getting a different number, check again till it becomes equal to 260.18. This is total. There are 5 numbers which we have added. So the average will be average return or expected return X bar will be equal to 260.18 divided by 5 years. So average return in the last 5 years had been, check your calculation, 52.036%. 52.036%. Is it right? So this is only expected return. This last column is return in percentage. You can see this time there is a lot of deviation of the data from the mean. So what I'll do, next table printed below step 2, write down heading. This time heading you will write calculation of standard deviation. Calculation of standard deviation. 3 columns, year, then x in bracket write return, R-E-T-U-R-N, return, and here write down x minus x bar square, x minus x bar square. So once again write down year 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7. Written in percentage, last column of the previous table. Last column of the previous table. We have to take return percentage, not return rupees in all the problems. Return percentage check 28.70 negative percent. You can put the percentage sign. 56.19, 123.45, 52.624, and then 57. This much you can do easily. Now we have to compute the deviation from the mean. So you have to tell me what was the mean. Mean was 52.036%. Some student make mistake in the first one. So minus 28.7 minus 52.036, and you have to take the square. This is what I have to do in the first line. Since this is minus and this is minus, the effect is you have to take the total. So take on your calculator just this much, 28.7 plus 52.036 into equal to memory plus, into equal to memory plus. So you will get something around this number, 6517.80. Next one is easy now. Type on your calculator directly 56.19 minus 52.036 into equal to memory plus, into equal to memory plus 17.27. Once again type. Now I will only dictate 123.45 minus 52.036 into equal to memory plus 5100.25. Next one, 52.24 minus 52.036 into equal to memory plus 0.042. 57 minus 52.036 equal to memory plus 24.66. You need to learn to use your calculator also. Otherwise in the exam you will sit down again and take the total. It will waste your time. Now memory recall. So it should be approximately, just check approximately, plus minus 1 rupee is okay. Is 11,660.02. 1 or 2 rupee difference is okay. And those who have not used memory plus, you will have to again sit down and take the total separately. Choice is yours. This is not the answer. So this is one possible mistake the students make. I have seen in the class. They will stop here and they will think this is the answer. No dear, this is not the answer. This is not even variance. You will have to first divide by n to get the variance, and then you have to take the square root to get the standard deviation. So write down sigma. Sir, what is sigma? Sigma is the symbol for standard deviation. So what you can do, suppose we are running short of time, then in the exam either you can write standard deviation or you can write this symbol called sigma. So standard deviation or sigma is equal to under root summation x minus x bar square upon n. Under root 11660.02 divided by 5. Solve. First you solve this portion under the root, which is variance, and then take the square root. It is 48.29%. So it means the data deviates on an average 48.29% from its mean. I will write it again. 2-3 times I will write so that you will understand the meaning of standard deviation. It means the data deviates on an average 48.29% from its expected value, from its expected return. It means the data deviates on an average 48.29% from its expected return. Now one more question we will practice, which is towards the end of this chapter. So directly you go to question number 134. It is printed almost towards the end of this chapter. Cell practice question in the cell practice part, but we will solve it in the class. You will find it around page number 4.69. First you reach that question. It is only for practicing the standard deviation based on past data. So this is the question. Just see, can you locate it? Calculate expected risk and return from the following information about a stock. Year, price at the end of the year, dividend per share, then year 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the closing prices and these are the dividend paid in that year. And the question is simple at the top: expected risk and expected return. So now I will tell you how to do it fast. We will not draw so many columns. We will not draw 2 tables also. In the single table, one table, we will get both the answers in 3 columns only for such questions. Write down the heading. In the notebook you have to write, give reference of page number of the book and question number. Year, return is equal to D1 plus P1 minus P0 upon P0, and the last column is R minus R bar square. R minus R bar square, you can say X minus X bar square. R is easy to understand. R stands for return. R bar stands for average return. Now you see what I have done. Year 1, 2, 3, 4 total average, keeping one line blank each. Year 1 dash dash, because I can't calculate the return of year 1. Price at the beginning is not given, but every time you don't write dash dash. If the problem says the price at the beginning of year 1 was so and so amount, then you will have to calculate for year 1 also. Right? Yes. Now try second year, third year, fourth year yourself. In second year, dividend is 30, price is 600, minus price 0, 500, divide by 500. So check the answer. It comes to 30 plus 600 minus 500 divided by 500. You will get 26%. Now try on your calculator. Third year is 40 plus 400 minus 600 divided by 600. So this time it is negative 26.67%. And try fourth year. 40 plus 700 minus 400 divided by 400. Divide by 400. Solve. 40 plus 700 minus 400. Are you getting 85%? These are the returns in these last 3 years. 26 minus 26.67, 85. So take the total and then divide by 3. So you will get the average. So total comes to 84.33% and average comes to 28.11%. Average comes to 28.11%. Average comes to 28.11%. Got it? Yes. Let us start this column now. How will you do it? Type on your calculator. Use memory plus also. I will require the total. 26 minus 28.11 into equal to. So right here 4.45. Then this is minus and you have to deduct 28.11. So minus means you have to add them. So type, listen to me. If it is minus here, you will say 26.67 plus 28.11 into equal to, so that will give you 3000.85. Next one, 85 minus 28.11 into equal to, memory plus 3236.47. If you have used memory plus function 3 times, memory recall. Otherwise, you have to take the total now. So this comes to approximately 6241.77. Check it. I'll wait for you. First few questions will go slow. You need to know basic calculation. If you can't do this basic calculation, then it is very difficult to proceed further in this chapter. So 6241.77. Now take the, how do you get this number? You have to first divide by 3 and then take the square root. So that will give you the standard deviation. So what I'll do, I'll write separately below the table, write down calculation of standard deviation. Calculation of standard deviation, sigma equal to, write the formula again. In the exam, every time you will write the formula. Institute may not know. You could tell them this is the formula. What the students do, they will take sigma, they will type on their calculator 62411.77 divide by 3 square root, and he will directly write the answer 45.61%. You have to write the heading, the formula, the data and the answer. So at least these 4 things you need to present every time. In the classroom, maybe after few questions we will not write this formula. Maybe if you want to write, always welcome. But then in the exam, this is how the standard deviation will be presented to get full marks. So 45.61% means what? It means the data deviates on an average. Those who want to write, it means the data deviates on an average 45.61%. Data deviates on an average 45.61% from the mean. Data deviates on an average 45.61% from the mean. Back to theory part. So back to paragraph number 16, where the formula was written for risk. Another formula that we will be using is the standard deviation when probability distribution is given. This is based on expected return in future. Like the question will come in this format: return 10%, 20%, 30%, and probability is 0.2, 0.5, 0.3, something like this. The question would be, calculate the expected return and standard deviation. So how to apply this formula? First you will have to find the x bar. for that you have to multiply return into probability. Return is R, probability is P. So first I need to find out X bar, and for that I need to multiply this two. 10 into 2, 10 into 0.2 is 2, 20 into 0.5 is 10, and 30 into 0.3 is how much? 9. 2 plus 10 plus 9, 21%. So this we will call expected return. There are two ways we calculate the return. Based on past data, we take simple average. Based on expected return in future with probabilities attached, we calculate summation R into P. This is summation R into P. When expected data for future is given, so technically ex-ante data, anticipated data. Now I got the average. The next thing is to calculate the deviation from the mean and then multiply by probability. So this is 10, but average is 21. So I will calculate R minus R bar square, and then I will multiply by the probability. So P you can write after or you can write before, no problem. So tell me how to do it. Type 10 on your calculator, minus 21 square, and then into probability 0.2. So tell me how much will that be? Please help me, you are not helping me. 10 minus 21 into equal to into 0.2 equal to memory plus. So you will get 24.2. Try again. 20 minus 21 square into probability 0.5. So that is 20 minus 21 into equal to into 0.5. So that is 0.5 only. Okay, 0.5. Then this is 30 minus 21 square into 0.3. 30 minus 21, 9 into equal to 81 into 0.3 equal to memory plus 24.3. So now you will get the total, that is summation P into X minus X bar square equal to memory recall. So you will get 49, right? This is called variance. Variance equal to. But if I want standard deviation, I will take under root summation P into X minus X bar square under root 49, 7%, and this is 49% square. 49% square is difficult to interpret. Your return is 10, 20, 30 and the variance is 49% square. Difficult to interpret by a common man. So therefore I will take standard deviation, which will say the data deviates on an average 7% from its expected mean, expected return, expected value. So that is easy to understand. Now here what are the possible mistakes the student make? One possible mistake is he will calculate 21 and divide by 3. When you are taking the probabilities, the sum of the probability is 1. So if you have to divide by 1, not by 3. So that is one thing. Don't divide by 3. Don't divide only, because even if you have to divide, it will be dividing by 1. The second mistake they make is they divide this by n. Again the same problem. When I am using probability, I don't have to divide by n. the sum of the probability is already 1. So even if you have to divide, it is dividing by 1, so we don't do that. Okay. In fact, what I will tell you, in case when the past data is given, for all the future formulas, it will be based on dividing by n, and when the xnt data is given, ante, not anti, not anti BJP, anti Congress, anti CPM, etc. ante, expected data for future is given, then the formula will be summation p into x minus x bar square. So instead of dividing by n here, the formula changes here, and in the here you will multiply by the probability. That you will see also comes when we will discuss something like covariance. In covariance formula also, past data you divide by n and expected data you multiply by probability. So since you are multiplying by probability, don't again divide by n. The sum total of probability is equal to 1. This is more often asked in the exam because institute wants you to apply probability concept also, and investors use expected data to understand the risk and return. Of course, past data and future data both are important. Now dear student, come to the next page. You will find question number 1. Question number 1 is a basic question for calculating standard deviation when probability distribution is given. This kind of table is called probability distribution table, where the expected return and their respective probabilities will be given to you. So this type of table we will call probability distribution table. So first read the problem, and we will solve in the question book itself. Shares of A Limited has the following associated returns with probability. Calculate the standard deviation, and you are given 2 columns. Return in percentage, very good. This return in percentage is already given to you. Otherwise, in some questions, you will be required to calculate it. And then the probability is also given to you. Only for cross check, just check the total of probability is 1. The total of the probability is 1, right? So what you will do, you will add 2 more columns there. You will add 2 more columns there. Which 2 columns? You will multiply R into P and take the total. And then for standard deviation, P into R minus R bar square. So you do add 2 more columns in the book itself. See, we have limited time, syllabus is vast, so the book is designed to save time. In the examination, don't write in the question paper only, 2 more columns. Write all 4 columns in the notebook, in the answer sheet. So these 2 columns are over. Now first you come to this third column, which is R into P, expected return into probability. You have written there R into P. Now start. Okay, with or without calculator, whichever you think you can do fast. And remember, we have to add it also. So use memory plus function. Ready? Minus 20 into 0.05. So that will be minus 1. Minus 10 into 0.10 plus 1. Minus 1. 10 into 20 is now all are positive. 2, 3.75, 4, 3.75, 1.5, and take the total now. First two numbers are negative. Be careful. The total comes to 13%. This is called expected return. This is called expected return 13%. Now we will go to the fourth column. This is the fourth column in your book. P into x minus x bar square. P into r minus r bar square or x minus x bar square. So I will help you now. In the last column, take your calculator. In your book, take your calculator. Minus 20 minus 13 square into 0.05. This is what you have to compute in the last column. So since it is minus 20 and minus 13, you will take 20 plus 13 into equal to into 0.05 equal to memory plus. Oh, so check the answer. Just write down this much, 54.45. Again it is negative. So you first understand what I am doing. I am taking this calculation for the second one. So 10 and 13 both are negative. So it will become 10 plus 13, 23 into equal to into 0.10 equal to memory plus 52.90. Now it is easier. Third one is 10 minus 13 square into 0.20. So this directly type on calculator, 10 minus 13 into equal to into 0.20 equal to memory plus. So that is 1.80. Now you got the idea. 15 minus 13 into equal to into 0.25. 1 memory plus. 20 minus 13 into equal to into 0.2, 9.80 memory plus. 25 minus 13 into equal to into 0.15 and memory plus, that is 21.60. 30 minus 13 into equal to into 0.05 equal to memory plus 14.45. Memory recall 156. This way you have to solve fast. Just 4 columns. Below the table write down sigma equal to standard deviation or sigma equal to under root summation P into x minus x bar the whole square. This is what we have computed here, 156, and then you have to now press the square root button. So sigma equal to under root 156 equal to 12.49%. You will write the percentage sign. If the returns are in percentage, standard deviation is also in percentage. So 12.49%. One more practice we will do. You will come to a question number 4. Question number 4 on the next page. Question number 4 will take. Slowly and slowly the level of difficulty will go up. So I will read the question number 4 from your book. From the following data, calculate expected return and standard deviation of the shares of A Limited. Underline current share price is 261.25. So price today is given 261.25. So that we will call P0. And then it says, then there is a table given to you which says that there are 4 possibilities in the next year. There can be high growth, there can be expansion, there can be stability, there can be decline, economic condition. So you bought the share at this price, and after buying the share you are analyzing what can happen in the next year. So there are four possibilities that next year can be an economic situation of high growth with a probability 0.25, or it can be expansion or stability or decline. Anything is possible in the next 4 years with these probabilities of 0.25, 0.25 4 times. And now understand the question. If the coming year happens to be a year of high growth, the share price will be 305.50 and we will get a dividend of 4 rupees. But if it is expansion, the share price will be 285.50 and we will get a dividend of 3.25. But if it is stable, the share price will remain 261.25 and will get a dividend of 2.50. And if it is declining, we will lose money. The share price will become 243.50 but will get a dividend of 2 rupees. So in this question also, we will have to first find out expected return. And for that, we have to find out what are the possible returns in the next year. So the possible return in the next year in this problem will depend on the state of economy. For example, one example I'll explain and we will write down in the table after that. So if the economic scenario happens to be high growth, so your price, which is right now 261, will go to this direction and you will get 305.50 rupees share price and you will get 4 rupees dividend. So what will be your return? Return will be, as you have studied, D1 plus P1 minus P0 upon P0. So if it is high growth scenario, the investor can expect to get a dividend of 4. He bought the share at 261.25 and the price of the share will become 305.50. So this is his capital gain and divide by 261.25. So this would be his return in percentage in high growth scenario. And what will happen if it is expansion? Instead of 4 rupees, he'll get 3.25 and instead of 305.50, he will get 285.50. Like this, we will first compute return percentage under 4 economic condition and then we'll compute expected return by multiplying by the probability and then we'll compute the standard deviation. So write down question number 4. In the book only, I have drawn the format for you to save time. So only write down the heading before the first table, calculation of expected return. This is in detail. Later on we will solve in just few columns only. Don't worry. Start with basic. There are a lot of students who need to be understood that they also need a slow explanation. There are all categories of student in CA final, right? But we have to cater to the last student also. So we'll go in detailed mode. So the table is like this. Understand, everybody can understand. That is what is the objective of our learning. Economic condition, probability, expected price at the end P1, expected price at the beginning P0, capital gain, the difference between beginning end and beginning prices 3 minus 4, dividend column number 6, return will be capital gain plus dividend 7 is equal to 5 plus 6. Then return in percentage will be total return divided by beginning price, column number 7 divided by 4. Now in the exam, I don't need to draw all these columns. I will directly write here D plus P1 minus P0 upon P0, so that I will save some time. but today we have lot of time. We are not in a hurry. And last column write expected return. 9 is equal to 2 into 8. These are column numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not 10, sorry, only 9. And these are the economic condition. These are the probabilities. These are the end price. What about beginning price? Beginning price 261.25. What about this one? Now see the possibility of mistake. Some student, what they do, they will put this number here, they will put this number here, and they will put this number here. That is wrong. Don't do that. Why? This question has not given you past data. It has given you future data. We are standing at 261.25 at the beginning. From here, I can take any of this path depending upon economic condition. So if it is high growth, I will get 305.50. If it is expansion, I will get 285.50. But my beginning, my starting number is same, 261.25. So I am here. I can go to these 4 numbers. So this is one mistake which you have to avoid. Capital gain. Calculate yourself, easy. 44.25, 24.25, 0, negative 17.75. Dividend is given in the last column. Then add the two. Without calculator, try to add capital gain and dividend. 48.25, 27.5, 2.50, minus 15.75. Check. Now take your calculator, return in percentage. 48.25 divided by 261.25, you will get 18.47%. Then just type 27.50 and press equal to. Just type 27.50 and press equal to, you will get 10.53%. Just type 2.5, press equal to, you will get 0.96%. Because you are getting in fraction, you have to multiply mentally by 100, 0.96%, and then type 15.75 and press equal to, and it will be 6.03% in negative form. This is the power of understanding how to use computer. If I have to divide by the same number, first time we took 48.25 divided by 261.25. Then subsequently just type that number and press equal to, you will automatically get the answer. Now I need to multiply column number 2, 0.25 into 18.47. Again you see the application of how to do fast. First you do all clear. On your calculator, all clear. I have to multiply by the same number. So first time I will type that number first, which have to be multiplied again and again. 0.25 into 18.47 equal to memory plus 4.62. Now just type 10.53, press equal to memory plus, you will get 2.63. Type 0.96, press equal to memory plus 0.24. Type 6.03, press equal to, but it is a negative number, memory minus, you will get 1.51. Use memory minus now. Now memory recall. Total of the last column 5.98. 25 you are getting, but ignore 25, 2 digits are enough. So this is called expected return. Expected return. Now below the table, step 2, computation of standard deviation. Computation of standard deviation. Draw 4 columns. Economic condition, probability, return in bracket R in percentage, and the last column R minus R bar square into probability. R minus R bar square into probability. If you want to write column numbers, write down. Otherwise ignore. Write down high growth, expansion, stable, decline. Probability, return in percentage from previous table. Last column, previous table. Sorry, second last column. 8th number column. Done. And now solve. Your average return is 5.98. So listen to me, first all clear because I have to add also. 18.47 minus 5.98 into equal to into 0.25 equal to memory plus 39. Next, 10.53 minus 5.98 into equal to into 0.25 equal to memory plus is 5.18. Once again, 0.96 minus 5.98 into equal to into 0.25 equal to memory plus 6.30. Wait a minute. This is negative number. This is negative number. So I have to take minus 6.03 minus 5.98 square into 0.5 for this calculation. Since both are negative, take on your calculator first. 6.03 plus 5.98 into equal to into 0.25. So that is around 36.06. Memory recall. This you transfer to memory plus memory recall, you get 86.54 approximately. This total is called variance. Under root of variance is called standard deviation. So right below the table there is some space, right? Sigma equal to under root summation P into R minus R bar square. Summation P into R minus R bar square under root summation under root 86.54. Press the square root button, you will get close to 9.3% approximately. So this is a type of question which they ask in the exam, where they will give you the current price, expected price next year depending on economic condition, probabilities, dividend, and then the student is asked to find out the expected return and standard deviation of the given probability distribution table. So now we'll take a break.